Well, howdy there, nerds. I hope you're doing well. As you can see, I'm currently doing Aether Raids, and it's been about a month since Aether Raids have come out, or at least it should be about a month. And, well, I want to know how everyone feels about this game mode. I want to know what your opinions are on some of these new things, because this is supposed to be the premier game mode. In fact, it replaced Blessed Gardens on the main screen, and it's supposed to be something that we're, meant to play every so often. I have some gripes myself, but I will explain that in a bit. But I still find Aether Raids to be somewhat fun and exciting. I don't really use the typical, builds and all that fun stuff and all those teams, but I still find it interesting to see how people handle not only my defensive team, but also how people create their own defensive teams. It's really quite fascinating, and it's a lot more freedom than previous game modes. There are some problems, however. The first thing I can say is the stamina system is quite rigid. In some cases, for some people, outside of the free run that you actually get when you start the day, you may not actually be able to play outside of that free run because your stamina may not have increased to the point where you can actually run again. Especially in the later tiers, it can be really, really costly to actually just go and raid someone's Aether base. And that is a little bit of a problem for a premier game mode. You only get to play it once per day, and that's not too exhilarating, that's not too fun. I think there needs to be a bit more freedom. I think there needs to be a bit more connectivity with people as well. Namely, I wouldn't mind it if there was, a freedom, more free mode with your friends where you can just raid your friend's base for no cost, no points, it's just for fun. I think people would have a lot more fun with that than just simply doing what we're doing right now. That's just something I'm going to throw out there. But mostly because I would really love to see how my friends can tackle, an Aether defense team, or my Aether defense team, or something else of that matter. There's also, of course, the other issues that I'm sure a lot of you have ran into, namely, horse units, and dancers, and dancers, and dancers. I've had, in the last few days that I've actually played Aether Raids, I've had so many issues with dancers and horses. In fact, in one of these battles, I know that there is two dancers. There were two dancers that showed up, and they all just kind of... Granted, one didn't dance, but this is something that I've been seeing a lot more people use, and it has been quite excruciating. Units like Brave Veronica now more than ever have really shown themselves to be quite potent and quite, combative. But I think that speaks more to the meta in the fact that maybe we need some sort of way to combat the dazzling meta as it is right now, because in one of these battles, you're going to see a Brave Veronica just be danced over and over and over again, and that's how they're going to win my Aether Raid, is just using Brave Veronica. None of my units can fight back because, of course, of dazzling, and that kind of stinks. I would like to be able to, do something else, and that's just, it's quite painful to watch, honestly. There's also, of course, Reinhardt, Brave Lynn, all the typical horse units that you usually run into. Remember when that used to be a thing in Arena? Well, now it's back, and it's an Aether Raid. I don't really feel too strongly about it, but it is something that I've noticed a lot more. I think maybe that's just because of BST. I'm not saying implement BST into Aether Raids, but it does show you that there is what happens when there's no BST and no adjustments there. You can see that it can be the opposite side of the spectrum entirely. And that is quite incredible. But that is not the only issue. I think that just speaks more about the dazzling meta, and we need some way to combat it. The other thing that I've noticed is we do need some way to combat the dancers as well. I'm thinking myself that we have all these structures that, specifically target certain movement types. We might need some sort of structure that will target dancers, as in when a dancer uses certain something, it might debuff them, it might debuff, the unit that has been danced. So therefore, it might be a little bit easier to handle those units that suddenly just, hey, I'm here, and then, oh my god, I gotta dance, and now your team is dead. That sort of situation, because I have been seeing that a lot more as time has gone on, and quite frankly, it's painful. It's really quite painful. I still feel Aether Raids has a lot of great ideas and a lot of great concepts that I think that they can really build upon. The one that I really do enjoy is replays, because I really like seeing how people tackle my defenses in that regard. And it's really fun to see that. It's really fun and fascinating, and I'm hoping that as we go along, we'll be seeing more of this, more balances and more adjustments, because I don't think we've actually had any real adjustments to Aether Raids since the release, outside of that slight little adjustment to stamina and all that other stuff. But so far, I have a lot of hope and a lot of promise that there might be something here that will really be worthwhile, a lot like how Tempest Trial, when it first came out, it was not exactly the funnest game mode, but eventually it was refined into something that I think a lot of people can agree is quite fun, and something that is worth grinding, and if it were around a little bit more, we'd probably have a lot more fun with it. Just saying. The stamina system needs to be tweaked. The horses are a little bit harsh at times. Dancers need a little bit of a tweaking as well. Maybe a bit of restriction there, I don't know. But I think Aether Raids is built on the concept of building your own team and building your own defenses, so I don't want them to go too crazy with that. Like, I don't want them to just straight up implement BST, so therefore we're back in the, heyday of Arena. I want something that is a little bit harder to, they're probably going to have to be more delicate with their adjustments, is what I'm trying to say here. Because otherwise we're going to end up with another Arena situation, and that's not fun for anyone. I think we can all agree with that. But right now, as it stands, I'm only really able to play it maybe once a day, and that's kind of a bummer. I know a lot of you really do enjoy Aether Raids, and you've been having fun with it, so I want to hear what you guys think about Aether Raids now that you've had a month to play it in the comments below. Just fill out a comment, tell me what you think, and how do you feel about all of the meta right now in Heroes, especially with Aether Raids as it's come along. God, the more I see it, the more I think about it, and the more I worry about how this meta is going to be with things like Dazzling Staff. Admittedly, it was a good refine for staff units, because back in that time they were not hugely over-damaging units that had massive debuffs and buffs like Veronica, and now we're in this new world where, it's just, it's a lot. Alright guys, I'm gonna let you go. Do tell me what you think about your Aether Raids. Are you having fun with it? It's been a month. Give me a review, and I will see you all on the flip side. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.